All right, welcome into Starting Five here on the Five Reasons YouTube channel. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can find me at Ethan J. Skolnick and at Five Reasons Sports. Producer today is Manny Chang. We appreciate him getting up with us and doing this on a Monday morning. We'll get to today's content in a second. We're going to talk Dolphins a little bit. We'll talk Heat later in the week. Maybe Panthers, maybe one of the teams that's relevant at the moment, but we do need to address this, so we will. We are sponsored here today by our friends over at Prize Picks. Use code 5, F-I-V-E. Put down $5. You get $50 to play right away. We tell you all the time, this is our daily fantasy partner. And they got every sport there. Well, baseball just ended, but everything else is there right now. So you can combine NHL, NFL, NBA, much more. I mean, you can even golf, tennis, esports. It's all there. 2 to 4 players in your, we don't call them parlays, 2 to 4 players in your lineup. 2 to 4 players in your lineup. And then essentially you can win the entire pot. So go to prizepicks.com, use the code 5, F-I-V-E. It is legal in the state of Florida. Also sponsored by friends over at U-Brake Wheel Fix. We know the roads of South Florida are not ideal. We know that sometimes your wheels can get all messed up. U-Brake Wheel Fix is the place to go to get that fix. They also have the refinishing services. They do everything there. Polish, make them look nice, the custom code, the custom colors, the powder coating, all that kind of stuff. So check it out. Over 5,000 custom powders. Go to ubrakewheelfix.com. It's based in North Miami. Mark and his team will take good care of you. They would anyway, but if you mention 5 Reasons, you get 5.5% off your entire order. See the numbers we put together? 305-748-0112. ubrakewheelfix.com. Okay. Greer brake, we can't fix.com. Hello, Rashawn. Yeah, there needs to be a change. I'm there. I'm not usually the fire the GM person. I believe in stability. I see what the Miami Heat have done by having essentially 3 head coaches in, what is it now, 30 years? Since Pat took over, essentially 30 years. Pat, Stan, briefly, Eric. I mean, Rothstein had a interim stint in there when Pat didn't feel like coaching for a little bit. I believe went and had surgery. But, I mean, otherwise, stability, right? Andy Ellisberg. When I started covering the team in 1996, he was, I think it just finished a stint as a media relations intern. Eric Spoelstra was in the video room. They're still there. Everybody's still there. Like, literally, like, everybody's still there. Like, like, the 4 people left. It's like Hotel California. You get in, you never leave. And for years, I've argued for stability for the Panthers, for the Marlins, for the Dolphins. The Panthers finally have it now. The owner who has done the right things to keep the team there and hired the absolute right guy in Bill Zito. And that team, I mean, Bill Zito not going anywhere. I mean, they can't let him go anywhere. He's too good. The Marlins, ownership disasters of all kinds of different varieties. And, you know, anytime they get a good manager, whether it's a Girardi or a Skip Schumacher, I mean, there's no point for the guy to still be there because the team's not really trying to compete. So I don't even process the Marlins at this stage. The Dolphins, again, I did cover them for years, and I covered them before I covered the Heat. And I was there for the Saban years. I was there for the Wannstedt years. I was there for the Cameron year. And I've constantly made the case for stability there. Enough is enough. Okay. I mean, enough is enough. I mean, we can argue about why the Dolphins are 2-6, and yes, they played better yesterday. They were competitive. The offenses looked good since their average 27 points since Tua came back. Okay, but you are what your record says you are, and it's pretty much the only thing I'll still quote from Bill Parcells. And you can't keep Chris Greer anymore. You can't. He was given the keys in 2000. What was it? 19 into 20. We can say this wasn't his first head coach, as you know, and we can also look. You can make every exclusionary argument you want. You can say he wasn't in charge for the previous 10 years or whatever it was. You can say this is his second head coach. This head coach has only had 3 years. I like the head coach. There's certain things about the head coach that now are concerning me that, you know, didn't before. His ability to adjust to circumstances has not been ideal. The discipline has not been ideal. But, you know, yesterday I thought his willingness to stick with the run, make Tua more of a game manager against Buffalo, that worked. They were in position to win. They gave up a 61-yard field goal. Okay, and I know, again, people are going to say, well, again, you're in Buffalo, you're competitive. You can't say you fire a GM after that game. I'm not. It's not after that game. It's after all this. Okay. like I said, continuity is the goal if there's success. And Aaron says the Tennessee and Colts loss is is what's costing them. It is. I don't look the Arizona game. I mean, defense fell apart. I mean, that was holding them together before, and they've had a lot of injuries there. Again, I can't make excuses for Greer and all these things because a lot of the players that are getting injured had injury histories. Phillips is one. I mean, Phillips, I love the Phillips pick. I think he's a tremendous person and a tremendous player. I'm glad the Dolphins have him. But again, he's had one major catastrophic situation after another. And so we're just talking about guys who, can't stay healthy. And I don't know, again, if maybe the way that they're being, the McDaniels program is contributing to this because it's not hard enough I'm not sure. Okay. Nobody really knows for sure. All I know is what you do with football, okay, and NFL teams is you put all this into a soup, okay, all of the factors, because there's so many different factors. This is not the NBA. Everybody thinks I'm an NBA guy, and yes, I prefer covering the NBA. But, okay, in this case, I always give the NFL general managers more grace because in the NBA, for real, okay, everybody knows who's good, right? Like, okay, with the Heat right now, would you like to have Giannis? Yes. Right? I mean, you don't need Pat Riley to tell you Giannis would help the Heat, right? That you don't need that, okay? There are things that an organization can do to improve themselves, such as hire somebody like Adam Simon who can find all these undrafted free agents who seems to draft exceptionally well. You can, again, have a guy in Eric Spoelstra who develops these players. All the rest of this, you can have an Andy Ellisberg who fits them under the cap and sees the next move after the next move after the next move. You can have all that stuff, but ultimately, okay, basketball players it's pretty easy to identify. Somebody has superstar talent, you know it. All right. There are misses in the draft for sure. There are misses in free agency for sure. But again, it's not because somebody is holding some secret over anybody else. The NFL is different. Okay. The NFL, you got to put 22 on the field more. Okay. And so, and even though the quarterback is probably worth 50% of the entire equation in the same way that a star in the NBA would, there are so many other variables that are involved here. And there's, again, the non-guaranteed contracts, but there's the way you fit people in. I know the cap is somewhat flexible, but there's a lot that goes into it. Okay. And so it's tough for me to say Chris Greer is a bad GM because he's made some really good picks. I mean, we were talking about like Javon Holland. Well, they missed Javon Holland. Well, he was a Greer pick. He was a second-round pick. Like, he's done some good things, okay? I'm not going to argue otherwise. But we are at the point now where this is a results business, and the results are bad. The results are bad. The last 2 years, they made the playoffs. They were not a threat to go anywhere. This year is they're going to do what? Win out? I'm hearing Tua and Hill say yesterday, win out. Win what? I mean, they've got 9 games left, okay? The schedule is soft, everybody's telling me. This must be the softest schedule they've ever had because to me, the schedule's been soft already. So, okay, so what are they going to do in the last 9? What's best case scenario? 7-2? Really? That makes them 9-8. What are we doing here? They're not running the table. I know that players have to say that, but this is exactly what, and I know it was a little earlier in the season and all that, but it's exactly what happened in 2002 when I said it before the season. I said it on episodes of this. I don't even do this show that often. Okay, I said this on episodes of with Dono that this was going to be 2002 again. They didn't protect themselves at backup quarterback. So if Tua missed any time, they were sunk. Done. That's what happened. Tua didn't miss the whole season, but he missed enough games that they can't come back from it. Because look, Fiedler, 2002, Fiedler was not as good as Tua. Okay, the offense was not as reliant on Fiedler as it was on Tua. It was relying on Ricky Williams, okay, who had 1,853 yards that year. But Jay got hurt, missed 6 games. They lost 4 of them. He came back. He won 2, but then he lost 2. I don't really think both of them were his fault, but he lost 2, and that was it. They didn't make the playoffs because you come back and the margin for error is so small. So now Tua has lost 2, even though I don't think either of those 2 was his fault. I thought he played exceptionally well yesterday. He did exactly what they needed him to do. And he made plays in the fourth quarter. He's not the problem, okay? Some people can say he's not the long-term solution. We can argue about that. Okay, he's not the problem. The problem is they coddled him for some reason and decided that they were not going to have a backup quarterback of any kind of competence. Okay, you're giving your starter $50 million a year. You're already anointing him. Go get the best damn backup you can. Like, stop. You're investing resources like speed over speed over speed over speed over speed over speed. Okay, get a backup quarterback. Skylar Thompson's not an NFL quarterback. And he beat out Mike White. Then you got to sign Huntley off the street. You're playing a guy in Boyle who's never won a game. I don't think he looked awful. What are we doing here? I mean, it's kind of like you're driving a car, right? Okay, and let's say your back hurts and you can't drive. Okay, this would be like me getting in the car and I have a bad back, lower back. That's why I'm on a pillow right now. Okay, so let's say I get in a car. Okay, I can't drive. All right, what happens if I can't drive to the store? Well, I don't have any. Oh, okay. I don't have anybody else I can call. I'm going to have my 10-year-old drive. Right? It's a driver. Skylar Thompson's a quarterback. What are we doing here? This put them in that position. And Lenny says the defense failed us the last 2 weeks, actually. Well, it did. I agree. But again, look at the parts that have been missing from there. And then you can also look at this fact that, again, Greer tends to go after guys who have injury histories. This has been a consistent thing. I'm not saying all of them. Okay, I'm not saying it's all the same injury, but the defense was going to collapse because it was holding up the offense there for 4 weeks, and then there is a natural relaxation, and then again they've lost pieces. I mean, look, you can go back to other decisions, and I'm not going to excuse Mike on all this stuff, okay? Because Bradley Chubb's still not back. Well, Bradley Chubb is still not back. Bradley Chubb shouldn't have been in that game he was in the year before, right? I mean, the Phillips one was a little different. Okay, I mean, the turf and all that. But Bradley Chubb was in a game there was no reason for him still being there. He got hurt. He's still not back. They can't say when he's going to be back, right? Sealer, that's bad luck. What are you going to do? I think he's been their best defensive player this year. What are they going to do? What are you going to do? He gets poked, okay? Friendly fire. I mean, it happens, okay? But I'm just saying, like, this defense was not built to hold up the offense. What you thought you were getting here was an explosive offensive team. And the defense simply would get enough stops that they would win these games. That's what I thought was going to happen. They changed over a lot of the defense in the offseason. I like the new defensive coordinator. I don't think he's the problem. But key players getting hurt is a common theme, and that has been a common theme, and they do need to look at the coach for that. But here's where I'm at, okay? Two things. Number one is Steve Ross needs to put a stop to all this. We're going to add to the team shit this week. No. You do not trade more picks, okay? You do not try to salvage this situation. Boat's already at the bottom of the sea, okay? There ain't no point in sending anything down there. Everybody's dead, okay? No. Do not trade picks. Do not, okay? The question becomes whether you sell or you don't. I would do a soft sell. I would not trade. I know our guy CK, who I respect as much as anybody in our network, CK Parrott, 3 yards per carry, is saying you get what you can for Tyreek now. I don't do that, okay? That signals a full rebuild. I don't think you're going to get the value that you should get anyway. But I do think you should look at some of these other players. Can you get a fifth? Can you get a sixth? Can you get a condition? Simply to stack some picks here so that you have assets to move up if you need to move up in the next couple of years. Here's the other thing that I would do, but this is not going to happen. I'd fire Greer now because I don't know why you're having him make the decisions for the next build. You certainly don't want him making any kind of decision to save his job right now by adding. And why is he the best person to equip? I think he's been a good trader, actually. That would be the one counter against me. I think he's been very good. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is not just that he sucks. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's time. It's time. Okay. So I would restrict Greer right now. If Russ doesn't want to fire him right now, I would just restrict him. Just don't do anything, okay? Or, you've got a Calais Campbell who can help somebody for conditional 6. He's been great when he's been here. Okay, fine. But that kind of thing, I get. But, I would not have him be doing anything else. And to me, you bring in somebody else after this season to evaluate what's happened here. This is not like Ross tied his hands. Steve can't be blamed for this. I'm not a fan of Steve in some ways, but, he can't be blamed. He's given him money. He gave him the assets. He said, go build it. Do what you need to do. Tunsil trade, another good trade. Okay. By again, by Greer. But again, where are we? We're 2-6. There's no playoff wins to show for it. And it ain't that hard in that league to win an occasional playoff game, and we're now on 24 seasons. And I'm sorry if Chris Greer is going to pay for the sins of others before him, but he is. He is. They need to make a change. That's where I'm at. Bring in somebody, have them evaluate McDaniel and Tua for a year, okay? And that's the way it plays out. And I don't usually like these half measures. Trust me, I don't. Okay, I was covering a lot of them when I was covering the Dolphins full time. Whether it was Saban, being forced to keep Spielman, and then Spielman turning over on Wannstedt and becoming in charge, and then Saban forced to keep him, and then Saban getting rid of him for Mueller, and then Cameron keeping Mueller. And I get it; it's not ideal. Okay, I've always argued against it. But in this particular case, I think one guy has done enough to get fired, which is Greer, and I think the other guy I'm kind of torn on, which is McDaniel. I'm curious to see if a general manager I know Greer just goes out and gets the players that the coach wants. I've heard that a million times, but I'm just curious if a general manager with a different mindset would bring out something different in McDaniel. And if it doesn't, then okay, then as much as I like him, the media likes him, fans seem to like him. Then you have to make a change there too. But my biggest point is this: whether you agree with me about firing Greer right now or not, and Eric Wadicki is the one who said this on our network about 3 weeks ago. Okay, now here we are. Whether you agree with it or not, you cannot give him free reign to do whatever he wants before the deadline. You can't. These picks are too valuable. I'm not saying you would do anything to sabotage anybody. I just think the mindset should just be: this season is gone. It's gone. Okay, I had them at 11-6. They need to win their last 9. I think they're going to win 3 or 4. In addition to the 2 they have. So what are we doing for a 6-11 season? Anyway, we have other coverage on the network. The Canes, that's happier stuff. Check out the morning after episode. That's here on the YouTube channel. Also, Messi and Company. They're in a fight right now, so check that out. Panther Show will be on Wednesdays. We, of course, have Dolphins coverage, Pulse of Fins Nation, Monday this week. We're getting out of the way of the election. Wednesday, Inside Leverage, as usual, and, of course, all the Heat content you can handle. The new 5 on the floor should be up shortly. Greg and I went through the first 5 games of the season and kind of some trends that we see. May it be time for Alec Burks over Duncan Robinson, one of the things we talked about. Anyway, check it out. We appreciate Manny with us this morning. We'll be on here a little bit more consistently going forward. And, for Dolphin fans, check out 3 yards per carry and all Dolphin. Sea Devil, not gone until mathematically eliminated. And I saw you in the comments yesterday. I appreciate the confidence there. I get it, and I know Green Bay came back from 2-5 last year. Teams playing better offensively. I understand that too. I still just don't see it. The season's gone. Have a good one, everybody.